الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. ما زال الحديث حول غزوة أحد، قد وصلنا إلى غزوة أحد. إن شاء الله في هذه الليلة سنتكلم عن تحرك جيش المسلمين نحو جبل أحد. So tonight, inshallah, we'll be talking about the march of the Prophet ﷺ and his army toward Jabal Uhud. But before the Prophet ﷺ reached Jabal Uhud, he get to a place called Al-Shaykhain, Jabal Al-Shaykhain. So in this Jabal, he met an army, and they wanted to help the Prophet ﷺ. So when he found out that his army is an ally of Abdullah ibn Salul, فقال لن أستعين بأهل الشرك على أهل الشرك. So then I will not seek help from disbelievers to defeat another group of disbelievers. So the Prophet ﷺ decided not to take this army into his army. So the Prophet ﷺ, even though now from 1,000 the number dropped to 700 when Abdullah ibn Salul withdrew with the 300 soldiers, yet the Prophet ﷺ had the certainty in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah will give him victory as long as those who are with him are obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They will not commit any sin within the battle. So they have to maintain that obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the obedience to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he decided not to take this. The second step that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as a leader, you must see always your army, see your members of the army. Are they capable? They have potential to encounter the enemy. So he, subhanAllah, he found too many young Sahaba. In the age of 14, Ibn Umar, Zayd ibn Thabit, Haritha, the Prophet ﷺ made a decision to take them back to Medina. Now, I want to know I want you to understand this question. Why the Prophet ﷺ would take them back to Medina because of their age? What's the consequences if they were engaged in a battlefield?
Because they are younger and they live longer, maybe if they go to Medina,
No, not that.
Poor decision making?
That one thing is poor decision making, but the worst of the worst, if the war got intense and they got scared and they had to run away. What do we know about running away from the battlefield? So the Prophet ﷺ said, اجتنبوا السابع الموبقات. اجتنبوا السابع الموبقات. Stay away from the 7 destroyers that will destroy the Muslim. Among them, التولي يوم الزحف, is to run away from the battlefield with no excuse. So the Prophet ﷺ was so much worried about them that in case of they were engaged with Quraysh, they might get the fear and they may get weak and they start running away. So the Prophet ﷺ said, for many of them, except one boy, Rafi'. His name is Rafi'. So they came to the Prophet ﷺ, they said, this boy is a really good shooter. With the arrows, he said, this is a good shooter. Why don't you use him? So the Prophet ﷺ said, who's going to get jealous? Now, look at my dear, jealousy what? 14 years old wants to give themselves for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His brother Samar went to the husband of his mother, and he was crying. He said, and he called him, oh my dad, oh my father. Me, I can beat that Rafi' easy, and I have done it many times. How come the Prophet ﷺ choose him over me? And he pleaded with the husband of his mother to take him back to the Prophet ﷺ and to intercede on his behalf so he can basically be among the army of the Prophet ﷺ. So he did, and that husband of the mother is the uncle of Sa'id al-Khudri, Abi Sa'id al-Khudri. So that's his uncle. So they went back to the Prophet ﷺ, and he said, "O Prophet of Allah, someone in many instances have beaten Rafi." So what the Prophet ﷺ says, he said, "Show me." He said so the Prophet ﷺ said, "All right, show me some more what you can do." So he got into and he put him down. He put Rafi. He said, "I'm going to use you in my army too." And he decided the rest to go back to Medina without any. So the Prophet ﷺ made the decision to take only 2 of the 14 years old from among the others, and the others went back to Medina. So the Prophet ﷺ, once he got into Jabal Uhud, he set a strategic plan how to defend and how to encounter the enemy of Quraysh. So what the Prophet ﷺ did, that their back is toward Jabal of Uhud, and their faces toward Medina. So they will be able to defend both ways. Not to let them proceed toward Medina, and to limit them within the Jabal of Uhud. So what this is the Prophet ﷺ, and he delivered a beautiful sermon. And he addressed them to what? To revive the faith. And the Prophet ﷺ always used this strategy to what? To intensify the Sahaba, to increase and to excel their faith in them. So he told them, if you die, I can guarantee you that you're going to go to Jannah. Now the Prophet ﷺ, وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. Allah does not speak out of desire, but He speaks out of revelation. That's what the Prophet ﷺ. So he said, as long as you obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you obey my commandment, I shall not fear anything for you. You will get victorious. You will be successful. But as long as you obey me. And the Prophet ﷺ told 50 of the Roman to remain in Jabal Uhud, in one place of Jabal Uhud, and he gave them a decisive, a very detailed command not to move a bit. He said in 2 cases, either you see that the Muslims are winning the battle, do not move. And if you see us being killed, do not move. So the Prophet ﷺ, he made it extremely clear. And then he said, Allahumma inni ushhiduka alayhim. Allahumma inni ushhiduka alayhim. Oh Allah, you are my witness over them. Meaning that the Prophet ﷺ indeed had delivered the message. And he gave his commands. And these commands must be followed by the Sahaba ridwanullahi alayhim. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, no one should initiate any action of war without my permission. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, as long as their horses are coming toward you, start shooting arrows. Why? Because the horses will not proceed forward when the arrows are coming. They will immediately stop. They will immediately stop. So this is the Prophet ﷺ is giving very detailed command to his army. Then one of Sanadid Quraysh, Talha ibn Uthman, he came out looking for engagement, to engage with one of the Sahaba. And what he was saying, إِنَّ رَبَّكُمْ يَقُولُ إِذَا اسْتَعْجَلْتُمُونَ بِسُيُوفِكُمْ فَأَنْتُمْ فِي الْجَنَّةِ وَنَحْنُ فِي النَّارِ فَأُرِيدُ أَنْ أَدْخُلَ النَّارَ وَتَدْخُلُونَ الْجَنَّةِ. So what he's saying, he said to who among the Muslims to come to me so he can kill me, so I can go to the hellfire, and the one who killed me will go to Jannah. So the first one who came out is Ali ibn Abi Talib, radiyallahu anhu. He came to engage with this Talha ibn Uthman. He said, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I am so thirsty, I am so eager to go Jannah, and I'm so eager to see you go into the hellfire. And he hit him a strong with his sword, and what he did, he broke his leg. He cut off his leg from him to the extent that his private part was shown. And he said to Ali, أناشدك بالله والرحم. أناشدك بالله والرحم. Now, even Mushrik has a pride. He doesn't want to, anything to be shown. That's with Islam or without Islam. So Ali radiallahu anhu, as soon as he heard that أناشدك بالله والرحم, قال فاستحييت منه وتركته. He said, I did not want to engage myself in killing him, and I left him. So that is always in the battlefield of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you remember in Ghazwat Uhud, there is an individual engagement, then there is a collective engagement between the two armies. They always start something like that. So that's the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. After that, he wanted so bad to encourage and to give incentive to the Sahaba. Then he showed them his sword. And he said, من يأخذ مني هذا السيف؟ من يأخذ مني هذا السيف؟ فقال الصحابة نحن يا رسول الله، نحن يا رسول الله، نحن يا رسول الله. قال من يأخذ مني هذا السيف بحقه؟ فسكت الصحابة. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as a way of encouraging this confrontation and this engagement, he basically elevated his sword up high and he said, who would take this sword from me? Who would take this sword from me? So the Sahaba, eagerly, all of them said, we will take it. We will take this sword. Then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam continued to say, who would take it with its right due? With its right due. So the Sahaba got silence, except one of the Sahaba, Abu Dujana. Abu Dujana قال يا رسول الله أنا لا أنا لا. Now the one who's gonna describe to us the way how he took that sword and what he did in the battlefield against the enemies of Quraysh is Al-Zubayr ibn Awwam. He wanted so bad to receive that sword. But he said, since the Prophet ﷺ gave it to Abu Dujana, I want to see his courage. I want to see what he's going to do with this sword. So Abu Dujana, the first thing he did, he had a band, a red band, and he put it under, basically around his forehead. What does it mean, red? Maut. Maut. It's death. So that means he knows that he has no other alternative but to meet his destiny. And he went into the battlefield and started killing the mushrikeen of Quraysh. So he started killing the mushrikeen of Quraysh one by one, one by one, and one by one, until he got to one person, Abu Dujana, and he raised his sword, and he heard a crying and a voice of a woman. It was Hind ibn Utbah. You know Hind ibn Utbah, the one who's gonna, in this battlefield, gonna eat Hamza's, you remember, so she's the one who's gonna bring the Wahshi. Yes, the one who's gonna kill Hamza, the uncle of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And as soon as he heard that voice, he said, by Allah, I will not let the sword of Allah and the sword of His Messenger to kill him. And he left her alone, that he did not basically touch her until he was killed. He fulfilled the promise of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when they were counting the numbers that he himself killed was over 70.
Over 70?
70. Just by himself.
Oh,
What? No, it has to do with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam promising him Jannah. This is the sword of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so for sure is going to be blessing and barakah in that sword. You know what I'm saying? But he fulfilled the promise to the promise of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam until he was killed. And then the engagement got intense and intense. Intense and intense. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his army at the beginning were truly winning it. The battle was in their side. In their side. And what happened?
he come down.
The 50 Umat.
Subhanallah.
The 50 Umat.
طمع.
Yes. The 50 Umat started basically enjoying this, that the Muslims are winning. So they start celebrating and they say, there is no need to stay here. Let us take, let us join the booties. We don't want to just basically, we want to be part of it. We want to take too. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told in the Quran, أَوَلَمَّا أَصَابَتْكُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَدْ أَصَبْتُمْ مِثْلَيْهَا قُلْتُمْ أَنَّ هَذَا قُلْ هُوَ مِنْ عِنْدِ أَنفُسِكُمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. So they have disobeyed a command of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And if you remember, what did he say when he was addressing the Sahaba?
أشهد الله عليهم. أشهد الله عليهم.
He didn't take a while. أشهد الله عليهم. So he said, as long as you obey my command, inshallah we will be victorious. But this is the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the presence of Allah is no longer with us. It will be against us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has transformed the entire course of this battlefield from 100% success into failure. So inshallah, tomorrow is the fiqh al-siyam. So on Sunday, inshallah, I'm going to bring the ayat of the Quran pertaining to the Roman leaving their position and what happened to Khalid ibn Walid getting to that position and start basically counter-attacking the Muslims. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه يا فوز المستغفرين. اللهم اجعلنا من الذين يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. Any question? We have 2 more minutes.
2 more minutes or 3 more minutes?
10 or 2?
10 or 2.
10 or 2.
Oh, 10 o'clock, not 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock.
10 or 2.
Sir?